Good morning, everyone, or I guess afternoon for the New York set on here. We'll get going in just a second here. All right, we'll kind of let some people trickle in here and get this talk going. Hello, and welcome everyone to Glossy's weekly beauty debrief here on LinkedIn. It is almost the 4th of July. I hope everyone has a great holiday weekend planned, or at least a restful holiday weekend planned. I'm Lexi Lebsack, West Coast correspondent here at Glossy, and I am joined by Emily Jensen, our senior reporter at Glossy, Jill Manoff, our editor-in-chief, and Courtney Marabella, Glossy's social media and audience manager. We do this talk every Wednesday. We'll be on for about 30 minutes, and so excited that everyone here is listening in. Today, we're going to be going through the Olympics beauty sponsorships and campaigns. They're slowly trickling out as we approach the Summer Games, which will kick off on July 26th and run until the middle of August, about the 11th. And as we get closer, we are learning more and more about some very dynamic sponsorships and what we can expect to see in terms of ads, out-of-home campaigns on social media with the Olympians. And we've narrowed it down today to talk about 4 campaigns that we think are really interesting and very dynamic. And so let's go ahead and kick this off with NYX. Emily, I know you covered this one for Glossy a short while back. Walk us through this NYX partnership.
Hi there. So last week, NYX announced that it would be partnering with the U.S. gymnast Charlize Jones. To kick off the partnership, Jones shared a Get Ready With Me video using NYX products on her Instagram account ahead of the U.S. Olympic trials, which took place that weekend. NYX also announced it would be showcasing billboards, celebrating Charlize in places like Washington State, which is where she grew up. She's from Seattle originally. And NYX has had sports partnerships in the past. They're currently a sponsor for Angel City FC, which is the women's soccer team based in Los Angeles. But this is the first time that they've had a single athlete partnership. And gymnastics fans will definitely know who Charlize Jones is. She's been a huge star on the U.S. team for the past couple of years. She won bronze in the all-around event at the World Championships last fall. She also won bronze on the uneven bars, and of course was part of the gold medal winning team for USA for the World Championships. And she was really poised to be a breakout star going into Paris. She's kind of been like the number 2 gymnast to Simone Biles in the U.S. going into this Olympic season. So it was definitely, a big get for NYX to partner with someone like her. But unfortunately, and this is just the reality of sports, sadly, she suffered an injury during the U.S. Olympic trials this past weekend and will not be competing in Paris later this year.
Oh, no.
I know. It was really, for a lot of fans, really devastating, and obviously for Charlize, I'm sure, really difficult. But that's also just part of sports. Like, nothing is guaranteed. You can be one of the best, and unfortunately things like injuries happen.
Oh man, I wonder if she'll be back in 4 years. Do we know how old she is, or how far into her career she is?
I really hope so. I mean, she made like an Instagram post shortly after the news came out that she was out of the trials, just like something to her coach saying, we'll be back for more. She is turning 22 this year, which in past Olympic cycles has been on the older side for female gymnasts. But one thing that's actually really exciting that's happening now in the world of women's gymnastics is we're seeing them having longer careers. Simone Biles is something of an outlier, just in her longevity. She's 27 now. But the other members of the women who did make the team for Team USA, a lot of them are in their 20s as well, and are coming back for a second Olympics. We're seeing other gymnasts as well from other countries as well, having careers into their 20s, coming back for 2 or 3 Olympics. So I think if there's definitely a possibility that she could be back in 4 years. And I'm sure for a lot of American gymnasts and athletes in general, the fact that the 2028 Summer Olympics will be in Los Angeles is probably a big motivation to come back and stay in the sport, since it'll be a home Olympics.
That makes sense. Oh man, I mean, I guess that's sort of like exactly like what you're saying, Emily. I guess that's sort of like the risk that you take around sports. Like injuries just like do happen. Do we know what will happen with the partnership and her relationship with Nyx now that she is out of the Olympics?
So I haven't seen them post anything on their socials, or I haven't seen her post anything on her socials about those partnerships. And she had, other brand deals going on, as all these athletes do. She also recently did a Ralph Lauren Instagram post, like wearing the, outfits that they've created for the athletes going to the Olympics. So certainly I think, a lot of expectation and was that she would make the team, as she certainly was qualified to do so. But I reached out to Nyx just to ask if they have any updates on that. Unfortunately, they haven't responded yet in time to confirm what will be going forward. But I do think it's a good kind of reminder, as you were saying, like if you are partnering with athletes, like this is always the risk that you assume. And I think for brands, it's valuable for them, I'm sure, to be thoughtful about like if things don't go to plan, if they don't, win the medal, get to the final, whatever it is in their sport, like how do we create narratives that maybe still suit them in the long term, that still work for everyone, and hopefully have like a longer term partnership with these athletes to be able to, not rely on these one big events to make that kind of splash. So I'm very curious to see how Nyx handles it, or for any brand going forward, if they do want to work with athletes, like they need to be aware of these things going into it and that it might not go to plan.
Yes. Emily, do you happen to, did Nyx or in other story reporting, do you get a sense of what is most valuable to brands in these sports athlete partnerships? There are so many sprouting up, and there are various appearances and billboards and all the things. But I mean, personally, I got really excited, and I think I sent it to the group when like Simone Biles did a Get Ready With Me over the weekend or late last week. And she did shout out a few brands, but yeah, it was mostly just like her routine. It wasn't very brand heavy. I would think that that's valuable, and also the brand being able to kind of capture the look like while they're on the mat or whatever. But anyway, what's your sense of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing that the sense I'm getting from talking to brands or other experts is they want the partnership and connection to feel authentic. I know that word gets tossed around all the time, but to feel natural. And like we always think of athletes, of course, everyone gets like a shoe deal or like a Gatorade or a Powerade deal. And beauty is kind of a new terrain in some ways, but there are ways to make it feel, again, natural and like in line with their image. I think for someone like Charlize Jones or other gymnasts, there actually is like a really easy connection, as you were just saying, Jill. People like Simone Biles, a lot of gymnasts, they're wearing like makeup and full done hair when they go to these meets. And because of social media, they're often sharing that already with their viewers and with their followers and like talking about what products they use. It is kind of a unique sport that it has this kind of glam element built into it naturally. So I think that makes for beauty partnerships like a very natural fit. But even for other partners, like Cindy McLaughlin, who's another U.S. athlete. She's a track and field star. She has like a Neutrogena partnership. And from what I've heard about that, it was really built in part around like the performance. Like she's out in the sun all day training. So having like sunscreen SPF products is like a big thing for her. And for athletes, they can really talk about like the wear of these products, how do they hold up under like sweat, under heat, under these extreme conditions. And that can make for a really compelling narrative.
For sure. Is there another kind of brand darling in the gymnastics space that we should be watching? Obviously, Simone, maybe not quite so obviously, but I'll be watching her. Anyone else?
Yeah, well, I mean, Simone, of course, and we can talk about that now with her K18 partnership, which just came out. I will say there are some other athletes from the Team USA gymnastics team that do also beauty partnerships, like Suni Lee, who's just made the team as well. She's the reigning all-around champion from the Tokyo Olympics. She has a partnership with Kiss, which is like a nail brand. And she was really known amongst fans during Tokyo for having these like really long acrylic nails that she would wear while competing amazingly, and her like eyelash extensions. Jordan Childs, who's also made the team, has a partnership with Milani Cosmetics. So there's definitely a couple out there. But yeah, let's talk about the Simone Biles one. That might be a good segue. She recently announced that she's partnering with K18, the hair care brand, which is known for their biotech technology And Simone, of course, like she's such a unique figure in gymnastics and in sports as a whole. She's the most decorated gymnast of all time. And now she'll be competing officially at her third Olympics in Paris and is very much a favorite to take gold on, multiple events. So it's a big get for K18 to have someone like that partnering with her. And, they've released social media content around this. A lot of it, again, built around the strength of their products, how they hold up, how she's able to be wearing her hair in a bun, pulling it back, putting it through a bit of stress, and these products still work for her is kind of the messaging they're talking about. One thing to keep in mind for any of these Olympic partnerships, though, is there's this thing called Rule 40, which is very strict, enforced by the IOC, which is that any non-official IOC partners can't reference Olympic-specific terms during the games themselves. So it's very important that they start rolling out some of these partnerships now if they want to talk about that, because during the games, they just have to be careful of not saying terms like, Road to Paris or Team USA or gold medal even. It's very, very strict. So brands do need to be conscious of how they use this during the games themselves.
Oh, how interesting. I had never heard of that Rule 40 before. Do the athletes do their own hair and makeup at the Olympics? And if so, is there a way to kind of get around that Rule 40, while they're there? Or talk to us about that.
Yeah, so they do their own hair and makeup. And as Jill was saying, a lot of athletes like Simone, before they go into meets, they'll go on their TikTok or their Instagram and share, this is what I'm working on. This is my hair and makeup look. They don't have a glam team with them on the games, as far as I've seen in the past. Simone Biles does have a hairstylist and makeup artist, Jasmine Johnson, who's also a K18 ambassador, but her, from what I can see, works with her for things like her wedding, for example, or on these campaigns that she does with Athleta or K18 now specifically. But on the day of, it's really just them, which I think kind of adds to this interest around what are they actually wearing and using, because they actually do wear it themselves. They're a celebrity going on the red carpet who has a whole professional team with them. And it's also just a reminder that a lot of them are young women who are just interested in hair and makeup like anyone else, even while they're also these, incredible athletes. So they can post about their partnerships. Rule 40 has kind of evolved over the years, with social media. Since the London Olympics, obviously the Instagram's become a huge, platform for the athletes and the brands themselves. In the past, it has been stricter, and athletes actually do have to be careful about if they reference a non-partner, in direct conjunction with the games, they could actually have their medals stripped if they break this rule. So they have to be careful. Yeah, it can be very serious. The IOC is very much protects its brand, I guess is the way to put it. And for these other sponsors, I'm just guessing it's a very lucrative opportunity to be an Olympic sponsor, and they don't want other brands having what they call ambush marketing, where everyone kind of cashes in on the Olympics without kind of paying to play. So athletes do have to be careful. They can post about it. They just need to also be cognizant of what language they use.
Nice. I don't know if I have a question about that. It's so interesting, but I would just say, I feel like there's, for beauty folks in particular, there's a lot of inspiration to be taken from the games. But there was a video on TikTok or one of the platforms that showed Simone during a practice round, and she had a messy bun going. And when I first saw it, I thought that was her performance or she was competing, and I was like, oh, wow. Because it looked like it could almost, you wouldn't wear that while competing. You'd be off balance. I feel like it would be a risk. But it was definitely big and interesting. I liked it. But I think they'll be taking more inspiration from the games this season as people have a little bit more fun kind of while competing and while not. I was also wondering, we talked to Hallie Hare, and they do a lot. Wondering if there's a comparison here or not. They do a lot with college campuses and where they go to sororities, and they were talking about obviously they do dedicated activations, but somebody, I think it was the founder, but somebody was talking about the number of products that they just get delivered and that are accessible in their sorority house. And when you think about the Olympics village or the where the athletes are staying. I wonder what it takes for a brand to just get a presence there for like freebies and what brands are in our space in fashion and beauty are going there kind of in a quieter way. Have you guys heard anything about that?
I have heard one thing, which is that, so LVMH, which, obviously owns Sephora and Fenty and all of these amazing beauty brands outside of tons of luxury. I did read that Fenty will be gifted to the athletes, and that's just sort of part of LVMH's like larger partnership with the Olympics. And so I think that you really do have to be like deep in with the Olympics to be able to gift anyone anything. But Emily, if you've heard anything different, tell me. But I know that I don't believe Fenty has anything else going on that we know of yet, but because of the LVMH, they're going to be able to gift. And then, of course, we'll talk about Olay in a second here, but I know that Olay, they're gifting as well as part of their sponsorships. And I did speak to an executive over at the Olympics when I covered the Olay announcement, and he said, he gave me this really great this really great anecdote about the athletes sort of, not really knowing until a few weeks before if they're even going to, be in the Olympics. And then, even as they're getting there, it doesn't seem quite real. As Emily mentioned, like an injury can happen at any moment. Things can change for an athlete at any second. And so it's like this opportunity when they get there and they're sort of like welcomed and they get all of their free stuff. They get, fitted for their outfits. They, it's like this really nice and really like amazing experience. And that's what the brands really get to be a part of. And that's, very exciting for the athlete. They feel like, oh my gosh, after all of this, like I'm here, I made it, I'm stepping in here, and I am an Olympic athlete.
I think we saw in Olympics past some of these almost not unboxings or like hauls, but where people were breaking down the gift bag. People do that for our events, so I can only imagine what kind of swag they get, and I bet we'll be seeing that on TikTok.
Yeah, I agree. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stuff, including Glossier. So another news piece that came out this week was Glossier has a big announcement, and basically they came out yesterday. USA Basketball officially announced a partnership with Glossier to become the official beauty partner of USA Basketball. So all of the female basketball players are going to be getting products. I'm assuming the whole range. So, we'll probably see a little bit of unboxing or gifting happening there, but it's a really exciting announcement in addition to all this Olympics talk, because it is the first ever beauty partner for USA Basketball, the first dedicated sponsor of women's USA Basketball since 1995, 1996, which was Tampax back then. And of course, that was 2 decades ago. So as part of the partnership, Glossier will be able to gift the entire USA Basketball women's national team packages of the products. So they'll get skincare, makeup, fragrance. I'm sure there'll be lots of fun merch in there, all connected with their travel in Europe this summer. So that's super exciting.
That is so exciting. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I was just going to also say that, we, in terms of like what is happening with the marketing around this, it just got announced yesterday, but basically what we know so far is that Glossier will have a presence at the USA Basketball exhibition game, which happens a few days before the Olympics on July 23rd in London. And from how I understand it, it's a bit like a showcase game. So we'll start to see that, those advertisements and that presence rolling out then. We'll also learn soon, I think, exactly what consumers are going to see. But so far, we do know that this partnership will be on social media through custom content. There'll be out-of-home advertising. And the team also said that there'll be community engagement moments that will go live this summer. And the USA Basketball team is really just full of all-stars. There's Brittany Griner, Kelsey Plum, just like a lot of really, really great stars in basketball. And of course, we know Glossier is the first ever beauty partner of the WNBA. So I think that this really came about because Glossier is already working with a lot of these women. In March, Glossier extended its WNBA partnership. So it was really doubling down on its relationship with pro basketball. So yeah, they're a few years in and really exciting things happening.
So cool. Glossier loves women's basketball, as do we.
Yeah.
Will the players be wearing, this will be more like a tunnel situation, or like they'll be wearing it maybe going to the game, or do we anticipate that they'll be wearing it while playing? And I don't know that that's allowed either, but what are we going to see?
Yeah, no, great question. I was thinking about this when Emily was talking about the gymnastics section. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a smart partnership because, of course, they are doing the performance makeup and everything. I don't know if the USA basketball team will be wearing it during games, but I do know that the brand will provide the players' makeup for high-profile events. So like the opening ceremonies, for example, on July 26th, there will be makeup artists using Glossier products beforehand to prep the women. And I'm assuming that will kind of also I'm assuming they'll also be getting, touch-ups and the makeup done at other like big events, press-focused stuff. So there will be an opportunity for Glossier to have access to these women.
Very cool. Is that the only thing that they're sponsoring this Olympics, which is a lot?
Yeah, it actually is really interesting because so Glossy is only sponsoring women's USA basketball, not USA basketball in general. And I think it sort of marks a bit of a sea change for USA basketball because usually the way that it works is that a partner kind of has to buy a sponsorship across both men's and women's, which I don't know if it's like actually why that Glossier is the very first beauty sponsor, but I guess it sort of makes sense that a beauty brand wouldn't want to just sort of like throw advertising at men's basketball if the demo isn't necessarily a lot of women. But apparently I read that Glossier pushed back and they actually got USA basketball team to just let them sponsor women's. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that they already have this really great track record supporting women's basketball in the US with the WNBA. They already know a lot of these women. They're already sort of like in this community, in this world, showing their dedication to women's basketball in the US. So this is the first women's specific partnership in nearly 2 decades. The last time USA Basketball allowed a women's specific partnership, it was 20 years ago with Tampax. So I feel like this is sort of marks a new opportunity for brands because of course we know that this is a smaller partnership buy, and also as Glossier says, it's like much more succinct to meet their customer sort of where they are.
Glossier always pushing the envelope. That's interesting.
I know. It's very exciting. I'm excited to watch all this stuff, and I'm also excited just to kind of like see the unboxing of all of it. I spotted my first like kind of exciting sponsored content yesterday. I don't know if you guys follow Sha'Carri Richardson, the track star, but she posted the first video for her Olay sponsorship yesterday, and it was actually really cute. But I'll tell you guys a little bit about the Olay sponsorship though. So we covered this a little while back when it broke, but basically Olay's parent company, Procter & Gamble, they have an ongoing sponsorship with the Olympic Games. It started in 2010, and this year Olay is really betting big on its newest product, which is called the Cleansing Melts. So they've made this product the official facial cleanser of Team USA for the 2024 Olympics in Paris. And then if you haven't seen it yet, the ads are starting to come out now. I'm definitely getting more and more of them, but basically cleansing melts are like these little water activated squares, and they're kind of like hard. And I've said this before, and it's maybe like not the best analogy, but I feel like they look like almost like a small dishwashing detergent pod. They're just like these tiny, hard little like things of soap, and they're formulated to deep clean the skin without over drying. It's pretty simple. You grab one, they're dry, you add water in your hand, and it just kind of dissolves, and then you cleanse. So this is their big bet. It's apparently decades of work. They have 50 patents on it. And then in terms of like how the partnership will play out, I spoke to an exec at P&G, Stephanie Headley, and I learned that the cleansing melts are going to be seen in out-of-home advertising around the Olympics Village, on billboards in select U.S. cities, in TV ads during competition broadcasts, and on social media. They are anticipating giving product to more than 22,000 people. And I think this is, like the athletes, people, affiliated with the games, they'll be doing lots of gifting. But anyway, to go back to the ad that I just saw, Team USA track star Sha'Carri Richardson, Athing Mo, she's also part of this. She's also an amazing track star. Soccer player Rose Lavelle. There's a rock climber named Natalia Grossman, and then Lori Hernandez, who was a gymnast and now she's a commentator. So all of these women are going to be part of it. And yeah, it's really cute. But Sha'Carri Richardson's first video went up yesterday. I like her a lot, so I'm really biased, but the content is actually really, really cute. So you first see like the product, and she's like tapping her nails on the product, giving you this, like social media-esque ASMR feeling. And then she's on the track in this like red workout set, which is really funny, Emily, because now I'm thinking maybe that has a little something to do with the Rule 40, because she's not in a USA outfit. She's just like in a red workout set, even though they are an official sponsor. But and she has like a very like a fresh face, and she has a nameplate Olay necklace on that's sort of like layered with her Sha'Carri necklace. It's really cute. She's like running and then she's cleansing, but I mean, she's a star, so it's it's really cute. But the exec I spoke to at Olay did tell me that all of the athletes that I mentioned before, they're all going to be posting content on their social pages leading up to the games as well. Sha'Carri has 3 million followers on Instagram. So it's like, they're reaching a lot of people with this. And the Olay exec also told me that they shot all of the content last month already. Or she told me that it's already been shot when I talked to her last month. So yeah, so we're going to probably see a lot more of that content.
I heard you talk about this before, Lexi, and I think that, Olay is not a foolish brand. Like, this is obviously this huge stage for this very innovative and novel product that nobody's seen before. And so to introduce something so new at a price point that is not the cheapest thing, they really need to get it out there. And I think this is so smart. How much is this again?
Oh my gosh. I remember it being really, really expensive. I think you get, I don't want to misquote us, so I'm just going to pull it up really quick. But yeah, I was a little surprised with the price. They retail for $4.99 for 12 of them, or $9.99 for 32. So it's like, I feel like maybe this product will like become like a gym bag product, or maybe a product that you use like in your like big shower, your everything shower on Sunday or whatever. But it's hard for me to imagine that you're kind of like going through like 2 packs of these every single month. But I do think that it's a very interesting product. Of course, it also plays into the waterless trend. It's easier to ship these products. Like a package of them is much lighter than like a bottle of soap that has a ton of water in it. So, but yeah, I think they're a little pricey, but we'll see. They're going to be in Amazon, CVS, Target, Walmart, slowly rolling out now. So we'll see if that price sort of changes at all.
Yeah, maybe not that bad. We were just sharing a story where it said deodorant is $15 now.
I know. Yeah, I know. I think it's expensive, but I mean, like, I don't know. I'm sure P&G knows what they're doing. I'm sure they set that price with, a lot of research behind it.
For sure.
Yeah. But I would also mention just that, Sha'Carri is such a star for them to get here. She has so many followers on Instagram. I think I said 3 million. She also has tons and tons of other deals right now, which I know Emily was talking about how the athletes she just spoke about also. But same thing here. Sha'Carri's got Nike, Sprite, Beats by Dr. Dre. She's got Powerade, Android, Oikos yogurt. It's like these athletes have a lot of sponsorships, so it's exciting.
They are also not foolish. Work it. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us today, the day before the 4th. So excited to be able to talk through all of these exciting Olympics partnerships that we're covering on Glossy. Please head over to glossy.co. We have a lot of great coverage and fun news stories all through this weekend. And I hope that everyone has a really wonderful long weekend. And we'll see you again next Wednesday for another one of these talks.